You're not going to want to miss this episode of the AI Show. We talk all about responsible AI, some new announcements with Sarah Bird. Make sure you tune in. Hello, welcome to this episode of the AI Show. We're talking all about responsible AI with my friend Sarah Bird. How you doing, Sarah?
I'm great, Seth. Really excited to be here.
Fantastic. So tell us who you are and what you do. You've been on the show many times.
I'm Sarah Bird. I'm the Chief Product Officer of Responsible AI at Microsoft. And my job is to figure out how we take exciting new AI technologies, build them responsibly, and use them responsibly both inside of Microsoft and enabling our customers to do the same thing.
We've talked a lot and in depth about the different layers for mitigation strategies for being responsible with AI. And I talked a lot about evaluations, et cetera, on some of my other shows. Can you catch people up on what the state of the art is, and then maybe even start talking about what are some of the new things that we're.
Yeah. So, as you said, we've been discussing for a while that the state of the art for mitigation is you want this defense in depth strategy. And so you want a model with some of the best safety built in using techniques like alignment or reinforcement learning with human feedback. We've talked a lot here about Azure AI content safety, which is the safety system that goes around the model because models have inherent limitations. And then, of course, on top of that is the meta prompt, which is really how you get that customized safety to get the model to behave how you want it to behave. And then, of course, the user experience. And once you've built all that, you want to go and test it, make sure it actually works effectively, the whole layered stack before you ship it. But then you're not done once you've tested it and shipped it. It's a living system. People find exciting new ways to use it. People also find, unfortunately, problematic new ways to use it and maybe vulnerabilities you didn't realize you have. And so you also want to monitor post deployment. And, the state of the art is all of these spaces are growing really fast, which is really exciting. We are doing so much innovation in responsible AI. But I think what I'm really excited about is a lot of what we had for customers to use, even as of a week ago, was really models with safety built in and AI Studio to make it easy to kind of select which one is the right one for you, and then the safety system. And a lot, originally when we built the Azure AI content safety system, it was really targeted at the first thing we knew how to do well, which was kind of harmful content and harmful code. We can build on our experience in digital safety and cybersecurity to do that. But we've moved past just looking at that and are now starting to build real-time detection for generative AI specific risks. So a couple months ago, we added jailbreaks and copyright material. But now we have new ones that I think are in some ways even more exciting and important to enterprises. And so we're really seeing also kind of the range grow in what's possible in each of these. And then we have new capabilities for evaluation and monitoring, which I think is a huge step forward because it's a big difference to have to do it all yourself or actually have something that's going to help you do it.
Yeah, and the thing about these applications is they're so exciting, but because we're moving into the realm of like stochastic things, sometimes the stochasticness, I don't know if that's a real word, but I'm trying to sound fancy here, Sarah. Sometimes it verges into weird areas that we want to protect our users from. And
Yep.
so what are some of the new things people can do that we announced last week? I read through some of the announcements. It's really cool stuff.
Yeah. I'm wondering, I have a video that maybe we could show and give people kind of a look and then we can talk about it.
Let's do it.
Welcome to Azure AI, your one-stop shop for building and safeguarding generative AI applications. Get started by exploring the model catalog, where you can select or fine-tune a foundation model. Next, create a safety system with Azure AI Content Safety. Use Content Safety to monitor text for potentially harmful content, including violence, hate, sexual, and self-harm. To tailor the safety system to your unique requirements, you can customize block lists and adjust severity level thresholds. Content Safety also monitors both AI and human-generated photos and images. Use advanced safety system features to support AI security and quality. Prompt shields support the security of your foundation model by detecting and blocking prompt injection attacks, including both jailbreak and indirect attacks. groundedness detection identifies when foundation models generate ungrounded or hallucinated materials. And lastly, protected material detection identifies when foundation model outputs contain copyrighted or owned materials. You can build a safety system within Azure OpenAI service using content filters powered by Azure AI Content Safety. Once your model and safety system are set, you can design a custom system message or use our safety system message template. This will help guide your model's behavior and data retrieval. Before deploying your application, use Azure AI Studio's automated evaluations to assess your safety system. Test your application's vulnerability to threats and its potential to generate harmful or poor quality content. You can use your own or AI-generated datasets. The results are delivered as severity scores or natural language explanations to help developers quickly identify and mitigate risks. Once your application is in production, monitor trends and user behavior for potential risks and safety concerns. Utilize insights to fine-tune your safety settings and application design. Safeguard your generative AI applications. Get started in Azure AI Studio.
Well, this is awesome.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a lot of stuff. I'm pretty excited about it. Minsu will demo it for you later so you can, slow down and kind of see all the pieces. But I think that really gives a great feel of the end to end, and actually, how important responsible AI is in every step of the life cycle. And so we want to make it really easy to just, when you're building AI, that you just have the responsible AI, built in right away
Well,
and make it easy to do.
this is cool stuff because I saw some familiar things. And then I saw some things that I hadn't seen. I saw some familiar things, but like augmented. Do you
Yeah.
want to walk us through some of them? I think I saw, let me count, 5 different things. Is that right? Oh,
Yeah, there's actually several things that we announced. So the first is, as we said, Azure AI Content Safety, one of the familiar things, but we recognize that actually two of the most important things that enterprises want to protect against are prompt injection attacks. And we
right.
had released direct prompt injection attacks or jailbreak protection in November at Ignite, and that's an attack coming from the user, right, direct through the user prompt. But actually, we see the same kind of attacks coming through data sources, which is an indirect prompt injection attack. So this could be like you go to an untrusted website and bring that in your RAG, and there could be actually instructions for the model hidden in there that could exfiltrate data if the AI system gets confused. And so we added now indirect prompt injection attack capabilities as well, and we combine these two things together to call it Prompt Shield to really protect your system prompt and have it behave appropriately regardless of where the attack is coming from. So that was one of the big ones that we're really
Well,
excited about.
so this is a scary for me because like I hadn't even considered that as an attack vector where like I rag something into my thing, but it may come from an untrusted source that is primarily designed to leak, for example, private, prompt information, for example, like because prompts are once you get them to work, you kind of it's kind of an art, but it's like it's some serious IP, and you can get people to leak some of that stuff through other sources.
Yeah, and you could even be leaking like other RAG data that you brought
Oh
in.
my
If
goodness, that's
part of
right.
the data has an instruction in it, and so obviously one solution to this is just only ever bring in trusted data. But who wants to do that? You want to be able to access kind of all of the data out there, and so we have this additional layer of protection now for that.
And
Uh,
that's does that work? And because as I was looking at this, does that work like the standard content filters, or is that something like you have to do on top of that?
No, it does work like the standard content filter, and so the two prompt injection attack, prompt shield ones filter on the input, so they're looking for the signature of these different style of attacks, and then some other filters filter on the output, and so in fact one of the new ones we just released filtering on the output is the groundedness detection. So we know that also if you're building, especially on top of like your organization's data, you want your system to answer, accurately based on that data. And we've shown meta prompt techniques and things that can help the system stay more grounded and respond effectively. But there are still some cases where it might make a mistake. It might add additional data, or it might actually change the data. And so now we have a real-time detector in Azure AI Content Safety that matches against that grounding data and reads the output and says, hey, there's actually a mistake here. And it's a mismatch from the grounding data. So that gives you another layer of protection to ensure that the responses are really grounded. So
And
we're excited to
this
add
is
that.
interesting because before what I would do, and is I would do groundedness detect or checking and on the evaluation side.
And you
But you're
still
saying you
should.
still should, but you're
Yeah.
saying we're bringing it closer, because I always used to explain content filtering as like this warm blanket around the model to make sure there was safety coming in and coming out. But now you're saying with Prompt Shield, you're doing additional safety checks on the way in, and with groundedness, you're doing additional safety on the way out. Am I
Yeah,
getting this right?
exactly. And so the best thing is still use the meta prompt, as the way to get most of the time right. But if you have that last mile where like, hey, the model still just kind of makes a mistake here, you can detect that in real time and choose what to do, whether that's warn the user, whether that's choose to like retry or block it, right? You can take out different actions depending on your application, but we want to give that, real-time detection of, hey, the model looks like it made a mistake. The same way now, protection for protected material. So if the model made a mistake and produced what could be copyright material, then we let you know. And so same kind of pattern, but we know these two risks are ones that are really important to unlock a lot of applications in the enterprise context. So we're excited to see people start using them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you're on a high wire, but there's a safety harness now that people have
that's what
just
that's what
in
we're
case.
trying to do.
That is amazing because like I said, when I write these applications, I try very hard to make sure that my stuff is grounded, that I do some good evaluations for fluency, coherence, but above all, groundedness is the most important. But if something were to escape, when we're doing monitoring, we'd be able to see, oh, something was trapped, and then we could even go back and do the extra work to make the prompt a little bit better on the back end.
Yeah, and that's, I think, a really important part. And we should probably talk about both of these things, which is, even if you have this real-time detection, you really want to evaluate the whole system, because you're
That's
going
right.
to get a lot more power if you get the right data in there and you get the right, meta prompt or system prompt, so that the system just mostly always does the right thing. And then the safety system, as you said, is just the very last, safety net
Yep.
in case it makes a mistake. And so you want really to use that. And so one of the challenges we saw is internally, we rely heavily on risk and safety evaluations to decide if something's ready to ship. Right? It's very hard to make this kind of decision. Does the system behave well in all of these different ways and contexts if you don't have safety evaluations? And we heard from so many customers that were struggling to do this on your own, because first of all, to build these evaluation systems, you need to use a fair amount of AI. We use AI to actually generate the inputs. We use AI to simulate the interaction. We use AI to evaluate the output. But you also have to be an expert in each of these different types of risk. How do you know if you're getting inputs that successfully exercise that risk? Well, you have to understand the risk. Or how do you score based on that risk? You have to understand the risk to build the scoring function. And so this is something we've been building for a while, and we use internally in collaboration with Microsoft Research, that brings a lot of this different risk expertise. And finally, we just announced that that's something that now our customers can also be using. And so we hope that that means people can really kind of build on top of kind of what we've already figured out, and have a lot more confidence in shipping their systems, because they'll be able to much more robustly evaluate them.
And that's amazing because I think what we're trying to say, or if I'm understanding this right, is that there are system-wide risks that are general, and we'll try our best to help protect against those. But then there's application-specific risks which will try to help, but you need to consider the whole thing as a unit. Am I getting
Yeah.
this right?
Yeah, I think that's right. And so the evaluation system helps you kind of test against both sort of application specific metrics you might care about, like the coherence and quality and all of that, but also then safety specific risks, like how much sort of vulnerability does your system have to jailbreaks, or what's its propensity to produce harmful content if you're given benign prompts, what's its propensity to produce harmful content if you're given sensitive prompts. And so that second part we wanted to make a lot easier, but will still see you'll want to augment these with your very domain specific risk, right? If you're in a like healthcare or finance context, you probably also want to add additional risk testing, but where, same as the safety system, giving you kind of the general purpose risks that we see are a challenge for all of the generative AI applications today.
Cool. So we talked about some new safety things that are intrinsic to like the actual platform. We talked about a little bit of some safety evaluations that you can do afterwards.
Yeah,
What,
and
what,
Minsu will show you those, so you'll
okay,
get to
cool.
see them
So
because they're great. But I think Minsu's going to come and demo those.
I love it. So I love how we have like the platform, then we have the application, because it feels like we're going back to layers, but we're wrapping each of the layers now in these safety systems. What are we doing to help once you've deployed this thing, other than the platform and the stuff that you've done beforehand? Is there anything else there?
Yeah. So the other piece that well, actually, there's two other things we announced. One is we had released meta prompt templates because actually this prompt engineering is hard. We announced those being built into AI Studio as well. So now you'll be able to just very easily add a meta, like add a safety prompt template to your system prompt, so that you can get going faster in that layer as well. But then to answer your question about what happens after, this is a really important part of the story, right?
Right.
People find exciting new ways to use the system. People find unfortunate new ways to try to probe
Right.
your system.
Right.
But sometimes also it might just not be quite configured correctly. Like perhaps I thought that my application had only low levels of violence sort of naturally in what's appropriate, but actually it has medium. And so my system was configured and it's kind of over blocking. And so we've built a new dashboard where you can monitor a deployment specifically for basically the safety system behavior. And so you can look and see what type of content is being blocked over time, both on the inputs and the outputs. And so that can help you understand, is something happening in your platform? Are people suddenly attacking it? Or did you just configure something incorrectly and kind of the steady state needs adjustment? But the other piece I think that's really important here is we found that we monitor in Azure OpenAI to look for people who might potentially be violating our code of conduct. And when we found, customers who seemed to be having some of that behavioral pattern, and we talked to them, it was really that they had users who were exploiting vulnerabilities in their system and they didn't even realize it. And so they said, help, how can we find these people? How can we investigate? And so the last piece is actually user level abuse monitoring, where customers can optionally give us user IDs, and then we will flag those particular users who have kind of the signature of potentially abusive behavior. And that enables customers to go and investigate, decide if they need to take action, whether that's fix something in their system or take action related to a particular user. And so we think this is, an important step forward in enabling more just sort of ongoing understanding of the safety of your AI application.
And this is pretty cool because we're like, I know I always say stuff like, hey, it's super important to be responsible with this stuff. I always say that. But I love that there's like wood behind that arrow now. I'm like, hey, we're not just telling you to be safe and pushing you into the deep end. Here's a bunch of floaties and buoys, and here's a little dinghy. There's a bunch of stuff that we're giving folks to help do this.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the mission of the, the team. That's what I want to achieve. And we found the same thing internally. We don't want every single team in the company to make their own separate monitoring system. Like, why would that make any sense if we're all
Right.
monitoring for the same stuff? And so we see this as part of, how do we make it successful in using AI? How do we make anyone who wants to build AI successful? And so tools is definitely the easiest way to do that. And the tools, encapsulate so much of our expertise, which we know not every organization has. And so we want to make sure that we're just making it as easy as possible, and you get the benefit of the investment that we've put in, even just for ourselves.
And that's cool. I know we're almost out of time, so I thought I would share. This is the blog post that y'all put out that has all of this information. Correct? Did I get that?
Yeah, exactly. So you can catch the links to everything. I think it has that same cute video and describes all the pieces a bit more in detail. And definitely hope people will check them out. This is all pretty bleeding edge. So we definitely would love feedback on any of it, right? We want to see people use it, and we'd love to hear what's working, what's not working. And you'll just, keep seeing more kind of in this domain from us.
Awesome. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for your time, my friend.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. We've been learning all about responsible AI, some of the newest stuff to help protect you and your customers when you're using LLMs. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Take care.